Oh boy, this is actually kind of fun. We're back again for some more critical thinking. Now, as I like to start all of my critical thinking videos, I'd like to go ahead and give you a little information as to why I like critical thinking. I think people of different ages, both male and female, can learn a lot from each other if you learn how that person thinks. You may get an idea, say, oh, I never thought of that before. And it also may give you some insight as to some of the people that are around you. Now, you hang out with the same people and you go to the bars, the clubs, the parties, but do you really know what they think in certain situations? I mean, what if you were surrounded by a group of violent people? Would your friends stay and help you, or would they run away and try to find help? Well, that's something you may want to know. And I also think that by critical thinking, everyone can join the conversation, regardless of age or gender. So whether you're male or female, or your age, everyone can relate to this, because if you haven't done it, you can still imagine it having to do it. Okay? Today, this one here is about when you're desperate, is it worth lying to land a job? Now, I'm sure everybody has bent the truth, stretched the truth a little bit when trying to get a job, when you're in the interview portion phase. You send out your resumes to various companies and you get excited, whoa, when you get an interview. And you, during the interview, or even on your resume, you may have slightly stretched the truth on some issues, and some, maybe you stretched it and bent it into a pretzel. It's so distorted by now. But when you're desperate, I mean, nowadays people want good jobs, good salaries, and they're not so easy to come by. So I'm going to go ahead and read this one to you and share in the comments section below what you think, okay? You're a rather skilled employee, okay? You're not technical. You don't really have the technical skills. And have gotten by on being organized and well-liked, okay? So those are your good points. Now, after having been laid off, you've looked hard for a job, but it's now been 10 months and you've received no offers. So 10 months, that's a long time. And you're probably living on your savings from your last job before getting laid off. And being laid off is, if you didn't know, it's not your fault. Maybe the company's downsizing, they closed your branch, so you got laid off, okay? You've exhausted your savings, so you're kind of low now on your savings. And are just 2 months from being unable to pay the rent. So you look in your savings account and the bank account, you could pay the rent for 2 more months and maybe the utilities. Okay, but it's getting too close now. All right? You could move back in with your parents. I don't think anybody really wants to do that. But then your child would have to change schools to a worse school. So if you live in the suburbs, and you must move within the city limits, you may, the school my child is going to now is really good, and now you have to change to a worse school. You know that the longer you're unemployed, the harder it will be to convince an employer to hire you. So if you're unemployed for a long time, that's a long gap between the times that you were employed. And it would be much easier or much more difficult for you to explain why you've had such a long gap between jobs. You're increasingly viewed as having been picked over. So they look at your resume, it's okay, I'll put that over here. Oh, this one's really good. So you're always picked over. No one else wants to hire you, so why should they? Give them a reason to hire you, okay? So you're wondering if you should lie on your resume and say you're working and ask your friend if it's okay to list him as your boss. Now, I know there was a TV show and they had an episode like this where they go in and one person goes for a job interview and they give their friend's phone number as their current job, and they tell them, when you answer the telephone, answer it with this company name and say you're my boss, and it's already pre-written what to say and how to say it. Now, an argument for lying. We have two arguments. One for lying, one against lying. And I'm going to read the argument for lying first. Many jobs require just soft skills, and you're good at them, and so deserve a job. But with that gap in employment, it's really hard to land one. So if you leave that gap on your resume, you'll lose your apartment and have to live with your parents, which would be hard on them, and your child having to change schools will mean she'll get a worse education and be around worse kids. Not to mention, she'd probably lose her current friends. So apparently you have a daughter. The small lie is more than compensated for by the benefit. So you can lie as long as you can live up to that lie. So that's pretty much what they're saying in this. So as long as you can, maybe something you've never done, you lie about it. As long as you think you can do it by either being trained or learning about it, it's not really a big problem. An argument against lying. You're being unfair to the honest job applicant who thereby would be denied the job. Well, I think everyone would agree that we live in a dog-eat-dog world where you must think about yourself first. So yes, you are being unfair to the honest job applicant, but isn't that really what working, the interview, the resume portion is about? It's possible that person needs the job less than you do, but that's far from certain because you don't really know that. You just want to believe that. Also, the fact that you've not been selected despite 10 months of trying suggests that you may not be as worthy an employee as you think. So maybe in your mind you think you're a great employee, but to companies you're not as good as you think you are. It's wiser to look inward and to get some honest feedback so you can improve your skills or change careers to one in which you'd more readily be hired. But that's not always an easy thing to do. I mean, I guess it really depends on how old you are. Well, you have a daughter who's in school, obviously, so it probably wouldn't be that easy to change careers. So, and applying to these type of companies with soft skills, well, most people have that. So I think you probably should lie, or at least stretch the truth a little bit on your job, on your resume. I would, if I'm very close to being unable to pay my rent and utilities, well, I'm going to say and do what I need to say and do in order to land a job. Hopefully, by the time the company figures out I can't do it, maybe that would have changed and now I can do it. So, in my opinion, I would lie. But I wouldn't tell a big lie. I wouldn't say something that I know for a fact I just cannot do because I may be asked to do it. But I would stretch the truth quite a bit in order to land a job, to maintain my standard of living, obviously. But what would you do in this situation? Would you lie just to get a job, or would you try your hardest to rely on the truth? Your resume is truthful. When you go for the interview, you tell only the truth, or would you lie a little bit? So please share in the comments section what you would do in this situation. And again, it would also be interesting to know when you comment, are you male or female? Because it would be interesting to know if young people, male, female, and older people, male or female, would think the same. Because if you're 25 years old and you have a small daughter, well, maybe you can get by on a different way. But if you're in your 40s, it may not be that simple. So please share with us what you think, and I look forward to reading your comments. So until the next video, I'll see you later.